So Sean, why don't you start off in the context of all the things that you could be utilizing AI for at Postscript. You decided to use it in a messaging context. That was a strategic decision on your part. And then you got a sense of, okay, how are we actually going to implement this in the field, so to speak, to our customers' advantages, to our advantages, et cetera. And then Rally essentially put everything together relative to the implementation of that solution. And it just turned out that there were some ancillary benefits in compliance that came from that as well. So I've just given you the outline of the presentation. Sean, stage is yours.
Thanks so much. Really happy to be here. And I'll let Raleigh start it off, and then we'll dive into some really exciting stuff, including a live demo. It's a little teaser for you.
Okay, so just a little bit about Postscript. Today, we're one of the leading SMS marketing platforms with over 18,000 Shopify brands. We send billions of texts every year and over 3.5 million Canadian subscribers in our network. Our mission is simple, making SMS the #1 revenue channel for e-commerce brands.
So that was really brief, but we're not here to talk about Postscript. What we're here to talk about is the personalization revolution. And that really is powered by AI. So we've heard a little bit about this already today, how important personalization is in messaging. But the truth is, I've been in marketing for many, many years, in email and messaging, and there's always been this promise of personalization and one-to-one messaging, but until the current AI revolution, that was basically impossible to do. AI is a game changer for personalization. And the fact is, consumers demand it. They demand to be known, they want to be understood, they want the messages to be relevant and to be personalized to them. 76% of consumers say they are frustrated when brands don't personalize to them. I think that's actually probably a low number. I think that anybody doesn't like to get a message that feels irrelevant or like it doesn't understand who they are or what they care about. And SMS really is a direct and immediate line to your consumers. It's the best way to communicate with your consumers, get out of the email inbox, out of the advertising world, and directly into the device that is the most personal to them. And what do consumers want to hear from the brands? They want real-time updates, they want product recommendations, and they want to be able to ask questions. That two-way conversation is actually really, really critical to what consumers want from brands in the messaging channel. And we heard a little bit about this earlier today as well. If you don't do this well, consumers get frustrated. They get frustrated quickly, they disengage, they opt out, and you're never going to be able to message them again. So it's important to get this right. They get upset if you message them too frequently or excessively. Of course, they don't want unsolicited messages. And irrelevant messages, messages that aren't personalized, aren't well targeted, are going to get your consumers to opt out quickly and no longer be addressable to you. So really, AI is the key to personalization at scale. Like I said, if we were talking about this 10 years ago, we would all agree that personalization is important for effective marketing. But we would be talking about doing things like segmentation and A/B tests and maybe flows with 3 or 4 different options of content and flow options available. AI makes it possible to do a different message to every single subscriber, whether it's thousands or millions of subscribers, sending the right thing at the right time to the right person. It really is transforming what we can do with communications in messaging. So how does that work? How does it really work in a specific way? So the first piece of this, of course, is data. So we gather a bunch of data. We get things like browse activity, product search history, also conversations. Conversations are critical to gathering profiles for customers. So we take all that data, put it into a customer profile. We use predictive analytics to figure out what that person will want, when they will want to see it. We use that to generate the messages. So every single message that a consumer gets is a different message based on the data we have for them in their profile. And then last but not least, we use intelligent automation to decide what message to send and when to send it so that it lands at the exact right time for the person who needs to see it. So that's at a high level how AI works in messaging. That's some jargon, some stats, some theoretical stuff, but I'd love to get into the specifics and show you how this works in the real world.
So one of the best examples of how AI can be applied in SMS to improve the customer experience is with Shopper, one of the products that we launched earlier this year. I'll tell you a little bit about it, and then I'll let you actually try it for yourself. So it's no secret that we're in the midst of this massive AI paradigm shift, and it's really forcing us to question the way a lot of things have been done. For us, one of those things is marketing personalization. The goal for marketers has always been to understand the consumer and make them feel uniquely understood. And for years, marketing has been personalized, but it's never been truly personal. Knowing what kind of device I used, or the last message, the last product I browsed, the last thing I bought online, that's all great information, but it's not really personal. Knowing that my best friend's wedding is coming up and I'm struggling to find a dress that's going to match my partner's outfit, that's personal. Imagine connecting with every single subscriber and learning about them individually, not just from data collected by website cookies, but from real conversations. With this level of zero-party data, you'd know exactly the right message to send to every person and the right product to recommend. No need for segments or generic texts. Super simple, right? Just talk to all of your customers. But this is incredibly difficult for brands to do without AI. When we're talking about thousands, even millions of subscribers, customer support teams don't have the bandwidth to do it. Response branching, such as replying 1 or 2 for a different answer, is very robotic and limited. And outsourcing could mean losing control over your brand voice or even your compliance guardrails. And we're changing all of this. During beta testing for Shopper, we heard brands describe it as, hey, I could scale my founder's voice, or this is like a friend that helps my customers shop. So we're making it possible for brands of any size to have their own AI shopping assistant for SMS. And with this, they can help their subscribers shop. They can create a really amazing on-brand experience over SMS that's very unique to their competitors. And they can learn directly from these conversations about their products and marketing and how to improve. We know that SMS subscribers drive 8 times more revenue than email subscribers. And yet, when you text a brand, the most common response you'll get is, we don't monitor SMS, please email us. It's not a great experience. Now, check out the experience that Jake, an entrepreneur running his small family business called Paddock Blade, is able to deliver. His shopper is called Poppy. She's an equine specialist, which is a horse whisperer, pretty much. And Poppy is able to give his customers expert advice and help them shop. She even knows how to speak in his brand voice, down to using the right emojis. And Jake is able to drive thousands of dollars of additional revenue for his business using conversational AI. Now, this product is still early, but we already have over 100 brands using it today, and the results have been really promising. We see that when subscribers engage with conversational AI, their lifetime value goes up, and they're 22% more likely to stay subscribed. So all the results point to subscribers wanting to engage with brands in this way, finding value in it, and as a result, brands being able to drive more revenue. Now, this is the fun part. We'd love for you all to give Shopper a try. So if you want, you can take your phone out, scan the QR code, or text Shopper Demo, all one word, to the Canadian or US phone number, depending on what you're using. This is going to kick off a conversation with Original Grains Shopper. They're one of the first brands to join our program. They sell men's watches with different wood grains and other recycled materials. And so you can ask Shopper, like, hey, I have my friend's birthday's coming up, or I want to get myself something new. Tell Shopper a little bit about like that person that you're shopping for, and just kind of see where the conversation goes.
And I just wanted to, while you're working on that, I just wanted to jump in here and say, I think this is a really powerful example of the technology in use that's been theoretical for a while now, actually happening in the real world. And I know that a lot of folks in here feel they're a layer removed from the actual senders and the actual brands who are using things like RCS and the messaging channels that we all work on. So I think that this is a great way to see how these brands are really using it. We talk to these brands every single day, and they're stoked about the stuff that's being built out there. They're really excited to try new things. They love testing stuff out, but they also want the connection to the business value and seeing how that's going to drive value for their business, and I think this is a great example of what that can do. Is it working for folks? Are people getting it to work? Awesome. Yeah.
I put that in case anyone
if the QR code's not working, yeah. So I'm going to keep talking while you all continue to chat with Shopper. I definitely encourage you, though, to have ongoing conversations with it. It isn't just a one-and-done thing. This isn't a rules-based engine where it sees some keyword that you say and then it gives you a response based on that. You can keep talking to it all day long, and it's going to continue conversing with you. This is all AI-driven. This isn't the mechanical Turk. There are no humans behind this. This is real AI in action, which I think is just super exciting. Now, of course, the key to excellent personalization in AI is zero-party data. So I want to talk a little bit about what zero-party data is, why it's important, and how we use it in personalization. Zero-party data is information that the customer intentionally shared with the brand. This is not things like tracking on web pixels, browse data, search data, even purchase history. These are things that the consumer told the brand, which makes it really accurate and reliable. It's explicitly provided. So this is things like, what's your skin type? Or what occasion are you shopping for today? It's relevant to shopping preferences and intentions. So maybe you tell it that you're shopping for a gift, so we know really exactly what you're after today. It's actionable for personalization. So if you're waiting for a sale, or if you have a certain experience level with the type of product that you're shopping for, these are things that we can use to further personalize. And it's specific and nuanced. So you can be asking questions about things that are really important to you, little niggly details about the product that might not be obvious just from looking at the product detail page, and certainly wouldn't be ingrained in a normal automation messaging flow. These are all pieces of data that consumers give us directly in these conversations, and we can use on an ongoing basis after we add them to their profile to make better and better personalization messages to them over time. And once the conversations are started, consumers get into what we call the zero-party data infinite loop. And this is really a virtuous cycle. So the brand starts the conversation with the consumer. That back and forth, the same back and forth that you're having with Shopper right now, is a treasure trove of zero-party data about who you are, what you're looking for, how you prefer to shop, what things are important to you, the best ways to engage with you on an ongoing basis as a brand. From that, we infer data based on all the different data points we have. We add it to your profile, and then we use that to drive an individualized journey for each and every subscriber. So I want to give a really quick example of a real brand. Woobles is a brand that uses Postscript and uses Shopper, and I wanted to show you how zero-party data can work in action. I know this is probably too small for you to read on the screen, so I don't expect you to read all of this, but this is a conversation where somebody messaged into Woobles and talked about never having used the product before, but being an experienced crocheter. She likes the products, but found them above her price point in general. But now she has a new grandchild who she wants to use the product to make something for. So immediately Shopper will respond and congratulate her on the new grandchild. It will use the information that she's price sensitive to offer a coupon code. It will reassure her that her level of experience will allow her to get up to speed really quickly on the products, even though she's never used them before. And these are 5 pieces of really specific actionable data about this subscriber that she specifically gave to the brand. This isn't stuff that we're aggregating from other data sources or inferring or trying to get from different activity. This is data that the customer willingly and explicitly gave to the brand that they can now use in personalization. So it's pretty awesome. And then going forward, that's on her profile. So we know next time there's a sale, maybe it's Black Friday, Cyber Monday time period, instead of sending the same batch and blast message to every subscriber, we're going to send to Carol, our subscriber here, hey, there's a sale right now. We know you're price sensitive. So we're going to send you the coupon now, and we know that this is a gift for the little ones in your life, so it's really targeted to what she might be looking to buy for. Now, of course, the other big thing we'll be talking about today is RCS. So these are the 2 big revolutions that are happening in messaging right now, and I really think that RCS and AI are better together. These are technologies that are revolutionizing how we communicate with consumers as brands worldwide. And I think it's a big opportunity to be able to create richer and more engaging interactions for consumers throughout the subscriber journey. And with AI tied together in that, we can personalize it much better and make it much more unique and useful and engaging for the customer. But I think it's really important that all of us in this room work together to make this a reality. So, like I said, we talk to brands every single day. These brands are excited to test things. They're excited to test AI. We have over 100 brands on Shopper testing that. They're also excited to test RCS. There are a few objections that come up on most of those conversations. Things like the onboarding friction, how long it takes to get onboarded, how long it takes to get approved, the sort of back and forth of that, inconsistency in those between carriers. And then as these brands are testing, we're of course also trying to sell them on the value and convince them, hey, this is a premium product, a premium experience that's worth paying a little bit more for. But sometimes it's a hard sell when you're just in the testing phase. So that's something that comes up quite a bit as well. I think that we should just look at how we really show these brands the value of RCS and help them understand why it is going to drive better results for their business, and then we can get into that premium pricing conversation. So with that, I will hand it over to Elliot.
Thanks, Sean. So we're switching gears a little bit. I think we've had the opportunity to show you how RCS and AI are, in our strong opinion, the future, how you're already seeing it in product now. But with the theme of collaboration and what can this group do together, it's looking at what are some of the impediments that could get in the way of that. I think Sean mentioned some of the stuff that we've already echoed several times here around working together to make RCS a smoother process to get on board with, and helping to justify the premium offering by supporting kind of technologies like we showed with Shopper, which is coming to RCS very soon and really helps drive home that narrative. The other piece here, and I'm a lawyer by training and also standing in for another lawyer, so buckle up, there's some compliance and regulatory stuff coming, is looking at the regulatory framework as it relates to AI, RCS, and then just broadly telecom in general. Postscript helped create the E-commerce Innovation Alliance, a trade group that's partnered with MEF, doing some stuff in North America and more broadly, bringing forward the voice of the e-commerce retailers. So these are small and medium-sized businesses, because the reality is, while this group largely thinks about regulation at the level of government bodies, and do you have your pipes, and are there large investigations, many, many, many users of the technology, particularly in the United States, but broadly, worries about compliance in that, are they going to be compliant? They're 5- and 7-person shop. Are they going to get sued? Are they going to get a letter from a regulator? Are they just doing the wrong thing because they don't know anything better than that, and they don't necessarily have legal counsel? So we created this group, the E-commerce Innovation Alliance, to start to surface their views, et cetera. And then, wait, that went backwards. How do I, there we go, big green button. Next one. We came across 3 key risks that kind of put this vision in jeopardy. One being overall regulation of AI, which is happening both at the US and the Canadian level. Both administrations, prior administrations actually put forward AI regulation, which was then muted at the federal level. And now we're starting to see in the United States a trend of states and other regulators trying to step in and fill the gap. And this is resulting in a lot of disparate regulation. We expect the same thing occurring in Canada, or starting to see it too, where there's just a lot of ideas being put forward by people that truly don't understand these use cases. Things like requiring a bot to say, I am an AI chatbot at the beginning of every single message in a conversation. Just think about how disruptive that can be and how that throws off a flow. It's one thing to get consent and notify at the beginning, but notifying it every time, or putting in place restrictions that you can't use AI or text someone after 8 p.m. The reality is people want to talk and use these pipes at all hours of the day. Many people get off work in the evenings or finally got to put their kids to bed, and that's when they get to jump into things. We also see disparate telemarketing laws kind of where it's a piecemeal. The reality is many of the brands, the 18,000 shops we have on Shopify, they largely view the US and Canada as the same market. Many of them are in both markets. They view them interchangeably. In fact, the main time they realize there's a difference is when we tell them they have to send from 2 different numbers and there could be different pipes. But there's also different compliance frameworks and everything else that they have to try to navigate. That's very complex. That's hard on their business. The reality is for small businesses, it makes them choose one at times, because I can't deal with complexity of 2 different frameworks. So the more that this group can work together with the very loud voice that we have with regulators that often look to us as subject matter experts to help unify the most basic stuff, not only at the level that we all operate, but also at the level that our customers operate at. And then finally, RCS regulation. It's a new technology. Like all new technologies, it doesn't always align with the existing regulations in place. And that creates an opening where there's a desire to throw laws on it or apply existing laws to it that often lead to serious issues. Getting into it a little bit more, this slide has way too many words on it. But there has been a real model over the last year where we've partnered with MEF, we've partnered with CTIA, we've partnered with different players, Twilio and others in the space. And what we've found is that particularly at these smaller state, local, smaller regulators and legislator levels, that just showing up and having the conversation and showing them how the technology works in a unified way, where the industry comes and it's not all of us throwing our opinions at them one at a time and then someone coming in late. But if we all come and we're like, yeah, this works. How about we do it this way? They're extremely receptive. We went to Virginia where they had a law that said you could opt out by sending a snail mail in the mail, which led to millions of dollars in lawsuits instead of just sending stop. And they're like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Does anyone in the industry object? And we're like, no, we're all here. And we even brought some brands, and that was able to easily turn it over. We're partnering with legislatures in Michigan as well, where they're like, hey, help us craft the best way to deal with RCS. So there's a lot of opportunities, I think, in all of North America. I think credit to where Canada is in that I think the state level hasn't been, or the Providence level hasn't been as active. And so that it is easier to unify and create a real model that we can take back and show to the United States as well, and kind of unify these markets for a customer base that wants to send to both pretty homogeneously. If you want to hear more about kind of some of the different actions that the EI is taking, bringing up the consumer level, shopper level, regulatory actions we're taking and following, you can go ahead, follow the EIA. I think many of you are already subscribers. And then finally, the call to action here, bringing it all together. It's exciting. We have technology in the space. We are using AI. We have richer capabilities for it. These things can come together and be extremely effective. But as we've said many times today, keeping the flows clean and then helping us work together to avoid the regulatory hurdles that will inevitably come with new technology would be a great way that this group can come together. And thanks everyone for their time.
Great, Elliot. I've got a couple questions.
Fire away.
You're welcome to sit down or whatever is comfortable for you. So Sean and Rally, when you started to put this business case together, did you do this all internally or did you go to an outside AI consultant? How did you structure that decision-making process? And what compelled you to make the decision whether you did it yourself or you got help from someone else?
Yeah, I can take this one. So a couple years ago, we actually launched SMS Sales, which is essentially real human agents based in the US who are talking on behalf of brands doing the same thing that Shopper is today. And that really helped us validate that this was a possibility, that we could do it. Essentially we have our own team out there, and they not only were the first to really experiment with, can we make sales over SMS happen? They built sort of the best practices that we've implemented into our AI prompts. And so it was really like our learning ground. And so it really started by truly our team, I think a product marketer and product manager, a couple engineers sitting down and literally texting on behalf of brands to see what works, what doesn't. So 2 years plus of learning with real humans doing it, to then feeding into the AI prompts. So this is not like plugging in the ChatGPT and expecting the same outcome. This is years of proprietary knowledge that we've put into it. And so we saw that it worked at a smaller scale with only select brands could really afford that service. And with AI, we're able to bring it to every single brand that's part of our customer base.
Right. Sean, did you have anything to add?
The only thing I would add there is just to reiterate, to us, our AI capabilities are a core part of our competitive advantage, so we are not going to outsource that. We build that stuff in-house. We believe that we have, I've worked at a lot of companies. I worked at Google, I worked at Amazon, I've worked at a lot of small companies. This is the most innovative company I've ever worked for, and it's really inspiring to see how quickly the teams saw the opportunity and seized it, and how quickly we continue to move to iterate on it and make it better. So.
Right. And so, given you're now looking at that journey from behind, you've already
I'd say we're in the middle of it, not behind it.
Okay, I'll give you that. You're in the middle of your journey. So it's still far, the past is close enough to remember. What's the one thing that you wish you knew before you started that you learned while you were on the path?
I don't know, Rally, if you have a thought on that one, and I'll ruminate on it.
I think one thing we've learned along the way is that brands they deeply care about their brand voice. So when it comes to adopting AI tools, that's one of the number one hesitations that comes up is like, this is cool. They'll actually forgo revenue if it means that they don't think the brand voice will be represented correctly by that product. Okay. We've seen that. So we kind of have this Venn diagram that we use for our North Star when we build these AI products, where first and foremost, it has to be on brand for the brand. That's their kind of ticket to entry. From there, it has to drive revenue, and it has to be tested. We have to validate these things that they're working for the brands. But brand voices, they hold it really, really tightly. Right. Which makes sense. That's what they've built, especially in e-commerce. Like your brand, if it's not a brand, you're just going to Amazon and buying anything. But if these brands are really building this whole world around their products.
It's all about brand
it's all
equity
about brand.
at the end of the day.
It's all about brand equity.
Whether it's Mercedes or some startup.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, Elliot, I'm curious as to, you've got a product initiative that's leveraging high technology, the highest level of technology at the moment, and then all of a sudden you start realizing that there are external parties that are interested in regulating this. Yeah. So, first question is, how did you discover that? Second question is, how did you come to the decision of starting essentially a trade association, which is always very clever, right?
When in doubt.
And relative to what you were doing and how you were pursuing that.
Sure. So we found out about the various regulations hitting when, frankly, it was bottoms up. Our customers were hitting us and just reaching out and saying, hey, I just got sued, I got a demand letter, et cetera. And in the United States, it's private right of action, very litigator-led. Think ambulance chaser, personal injury type stuff. And they were getting dozens of these a month. And we just realized, look, we need to bring these voices together. We need to inform the legislative bodies, the regulators. Nobody wants small businesses to be dealing with legal headaches, like particularly for sending messages in which someone already opted in. So that's where we came together. David actually was a huge catalyst to this, having worked and put together trade groups in the past, and we realized the best way to magnify their voice and unify it was to bring all of these brands together into one group, and then look for other trade groups that we could partner with that had
This is
similar
coalition
interests.
development 101.
Yeah.
That's what Lawrence could be talking about right now. Same respect from this morning. Exactly.
And then in the process of this, we actually realized, and this is switching a little bit to the Postscript side and the AI side, in some of these regulations, the best solution to the regulations is leveraging AI. And this is where we've actually worked with Sean's team, not only to help with the brands and consumers' voice, but also Postscript's voice. So some of the new regulation that came out in the United States was around requiring the recognition of an opt-out sentiment, for lack of better words. So someone might not want a message anymore, and it's on the brand, the shop, to recognize that and opt them out. For a brand that's sending out tens of millions of messages a month or a year, that's just not scalable. So we have worked with Sean's team to bring in sentiment analysis on all of the inbound messages and looking for, does this person seem unhappy? Do they want to opt out? Did they just misspell stop, et cetera? Those type of things to bring a much richer experience, and then even reach out and confirm and say, hey, are you sure you want to opt out? Because we're actually not sure if you're really excited or you're really frustrated. So that's been a great area where we're able to kind of pull these areas together in AI for good as well.
Okay. Yeah, great analysis in terms of the nuance, as well as the power of artificial intelligence, as well as the unexpected consequences, if you will. Yeah. We've got about 1 minute left, but are there any questions? Kaylin.
I just have a question because earlier today we talked a lot about RCS and RBM, and you guys obviously touched on it as well. But you also made a really bold statement about SMS, which I loved. So earlier today there were some comments made about SMS, how people don't trust it, it's not not reliable. So I kind of just want to know since Postscript has really leaned into SMS, what is your response or rebuttal to the SMS haters?
I have one. So when we made that mission statement of making SMS the #1 revenue channel, people like that sounded crazy. Like people were like, well, no, like email is always going to be the #1. We have customers who SMS has exceeded their email revenue. So for now, a couple years, like they're investing more in SMS because they saw it outperform email. And the reason why I also said, we see in the data that SMS subscribers are more valuable than email. Your email, you can kind of toss it around. People tend to be pretty, they just kind of hand over their email. They maybe even have like a fake email that they use just for promotions. SMS, your number still is a more valuable piece of information. And so you are kind of more engaged when you send it. Open rates continue to be much, much higher than email. And so our brands keep growing and growing their share of like kind of where their revenue comes from. SMS keeps growing and growing. So that's what I've seen.
And I think the answer specifically to the decrease SMS versus SMS over time is, yeah, people get tired of things if it's boring. Like it at one time was novel and your inbox was empty, similar to how your email maybe 20 years ago only had your friends and family in it. Now that thing is a cluttered mess. The same thing's coming to SMS, don't get me wrong. I think the importance of having engaging content and getting prior express written consent where people actually told you they wanted the messages, and then following up with them if they're not engaged. We have a lot of our brands that go through, particularly with tariffs and the backdrop that hit the economy over time, where they're like, look, I don't want to keep sending out to 2 million people that aren't opening my messages. They go look for engagement. They run campaigns to say, hey, do you still want to get messages from us? Do you want an additional 15% off to kind of remind them, hey, this is a channel for discounts and savings, and hey, here's where you're going to hear about our newest product launches, et cetera. Like, the brand has to proactively reestablish the value of the channel. As part of that's collecting opt-in, recollecting opt-in, and reminding them of those things. But yeah, I think to your point and to some of the data earlier, I think a lot of people have taken the SMS channel and just forgotten about how to use it the right way anymore. And if you're just batch and blasting, people will opt out, people will tune it out. If you're giving them compelling content, this is how people want to interact with things.
Excellent. Thanks very much for sharing that with us. Thank you.